Hi, everybody. Welcome back to my channel. I'm Susan Lynn. I'm a psychic and a medium, and I do political predictions. I have an entire posse of spiritual guides that are dedicated to helping me predict and or at least give you some idea of the energy of the possible outcome of the energy of some of our political situations. Now, in this case, you guys have been so kind as to send me your questions, and I'm going to try to answer them with the help of my political spirit guides. I'm channeling this. I'm about usually 60% them, 40% Susan. Some of this stuff is a little bit upsetting to me personally. So in that case, I may try in this particular video to dial them up to 70% because my ego doesn't need to be involved in this, right? I just need me, the Susan part of this equation, to be able to assimilate all of the information they're giving me and to spit it out of my mouth in words and sentences. They show me pictures, feelings, knowings. All of those things are swirling all around together. And in some situations, one particular message might embody all of those different types of psychic clairs or psychic communications. Okay. Doing my best over here. I will say this is for entertainment purposes only. And I will also say, I copied your questions onto a Word document, and I had a little bit of a heads up on some of them. And I have to tell you that some of these things may be things you want to hear. Some of these things may be things you don't want to hear. I'm just reading the energy here. There is a probability map, what they're saying. So everybody has free will. I will try to give you some probability percentages so that you can have a better idea of the probability of whatever they're talking about really coming to fruition. Let's get started. RN Swan says, this right off the bat, I want to just say right off the bat, 1-800 spirit guides, press 1 for complaints, because I don't know what to say about this answer. So her question or his question is, will we actually have a trial, all caps, trial for Trump? And will it be presented to the public via TV or news if he is still alive at that point? Well, RN Swan, you just gave us a whole bunch of things to ask the spirit guides in one question. First of all, will we have a trial? Second of all, will it be public? Will it be on TV or news? And number 3, how interesting, you ask, will he be alive at that point? Wow. Okay. So starting, will there be a trial? The answer is yes and no. I do see him on a witness stand in a courtroom. So that is good. That is really, really good. I do see a picture of it or a video of it. So it is public. I don't think, I'm not sure. I'm not sure that they're going to be able to video it. This information, this information is not set in stone yet. It's just not set in stone. I do see him on a witness stand. I do see a picture of it because in the picture, the people are commenting about how human he looks. He's not in his element. You know, he's not at Mar-a-Lago. He's not in front of a microphone addressing his fans or whoever they are, his sycophants. He's in a very different position as being defensive. He's being asked questions. He's stuttering. He's doing his thing that he does. You know, he's just being a blowhard. He's not addressing. He's speaking in riddles is what they're saying. So he will go on trial. Now, when I say yes or no, what I mean is that I'm not sure that he's going to go on trial for the thing or the things that you or me or some of us watching might want to see him go on trial for. I'm not sure that he's going to go on trial. Right. All right, here's the deal. Right. Remember you guys, Remember the 95 arrows. The archers have 95 arrows or 100 arrows, 95 miss, right? 4 hit their targets. That is Tish James. That is Fani Willis. That is E. Jean Carroll. The 4th one is Garland or Smith, but mostly Garland, right? Those are the 4 that are going to hit the target. The question is, I still see Fani Willis. She has the desire, the willpower. She has a drive to take him out. He broke a crime. He broke a law. He did a crime. She wants him to pay for that. I need to help you understand this. Fani Willis does not care how it looks. She doesn't care that he's president or was president. She doesn't care anything about anything. You're a human. You committed a crime. End of story. E. Jean Carroll, same thing. She wants to take him out. She does not care anymore about anything. She doesn't care how it looks. She has no compunction, okay? She wants to take him out. Tish James, the same thing, but a little less, just a little less than the other 2, okay? So you have Fani Willis in position number 1, E. Jean Carroll in position number 2, Tish James in position number 3, and unfortunately, bringing up the rear is Garland. This is important for you guys to understand, I guess. Garland, and I know somebody else asked this question later, Garland cares deeply about some things. He cares, number 1, that he is always seen as neutral. That's why it was so important for him to appoint this special counsel, Jack Smith. That's why it's so important for him to take so long to investigate this. And I mean, let's call a spade a spade. Took 2 years to prosecute Watergate. We're 2 years out. We're not that far, out of the realm of what's been done in the past. But that is also why he's sort of taken his sweet time and what I want to say is dragged his feet, right? The other thing is that is why he felt the need to appoint another special investigator to investigate Biden's classified documents that have been found in his various places. Okay. Garland is in the 4th spot. In the past, I have seen him. I've seen this picture. I've talked about it. I see the 3 women lined up in front of Trump. They're facing Trump. Trump is facing them. Garland reaches over them, grabs Trump and says, he's mine. These federal charges are going to Trump, no pun intended, state charges. I get him first. Now, what I just saw, which is a little bit concerning, frankly, to the Susan part of this equation that is talking to you right now. They talked about not killing the patient. Do you remember that when they talked about the cure should not kill the patient? In this case, the United States, the democracy, the inner workings, the outer workings of the United States is the patient. At what point does having justice served by arraigning, indicting, charging, jailing ex-president Trump, at what point would that potentially create havoc and or an attempt at a civil war that could potentially kill the patient or harm the patient? So this is where you have Garland. Garland is, unfortunately, he doesn't have the clear intention that Fani Willis has. Garland is connected to the Federalist Society. He's connected to both ends. He's not the neutral person with only justice in his eyes that Fani Willis is. So he is on the ropes. He's torn. He's literally torn. I see him with both arms out, one side dragging him this way, the other side dragging him this way, and he's trying to stay in the middle. Garland wants to stay in the middle, but he's got opposing sides pulling him. Okay. You can't stay in the middle and do his job. You've got to make a decision. You have to decide one side or the other side is guilty or innocent. You have to make a declaration. And this has been his whole problem. He's been in the middle the whole time. He hasn't been able to work out in his mind a way that he can trod down the middle and not make this side mad or that side mad. That is exactly his problem. So the warning or hesitation or whatever you want to call it that I see is that he may grab Trump, pull him out of the crosshairs, frankly, of these three women, put him squarely in the crosshairs of his federal investigation, which, frankly, may give Trump some leeway. In other words, they strike a deal with him that says, this is what you're going to do. And it's almost, they're showing me a picture of grabbing Trump out of an arena with everybody trying to attack him. And he's clearly aware that he is not going to win. He's not going to win these cases. So they pull him out of that arena into a little room. No windows, a little room. And they say, here's the deal. You can either work with us and do what we want you to do, and we'll make all that out there go away. Or you could take your chances. What would you like to do? Now, also with this is a guarantee of his physical safety, because we've talked about this before, but it's been a while, and the guides wanted to remind me of it today. Listen, when Trump is no longer useful, he's a goner. End of story. He's useful right now. What is the use? What is the reason for Trump? It is destabilizing our country, destabilizing our democracy, to cause infighting, to cause unrest, to break apart our government. Look at the House of Representatives. Look at the Republican-controlled House of Representatives. It's a shambles. McCarthy is now saying there's cannibalism going on. They're eating each other. They're attacking each other. That's what these puppet masters that are controlling Trump want. When he is no longer useful to them in that capacity, or he becomes too much of a threat, then he's a goner. So that's another thing that the feds can offer him is physical safety. Because again, you guys, I know you don't like him. I know he's a crook. I know he's all these things. But again, he is an ex-president of the United States, and we can't have him being offed, thrown out of a window, because that's the kind of stuff that can start a war. We don't want that. And guess who does? Guess who needs a guess who needs a war with everybody? Starts with an R, because they need to drag in, they need to have a reason to bring in Iran and North Korea to help them. And so a world war would be perfect for them, because they're not winning this thing. I mean, that's a whole nother story, but they look like they're winning, but they're not going to win. And so they're going to continue to cause problems to try to get that. So we have to protect him. Do you understand? This is the point. Okay. Now, so I know that was a whole diatribe about Trump, but I think it's going to help you understand the situation better. The outcome is that the likely outcome, and it's an outcome that I've seen for at least 2 years, is he's locked up in a house arrest kind of situation without any communications because he cannot be allowed to communicate. He's a provocateur, they're saying, and he's a saboteur. He cannot be allowed to communicate. He has to have that removed. And then he can, and perhaps this is something you should know too. Perhaps it looks like nothing's happened to him. Perhaps the DOJ and perhaps maybe the Biden administration in some ways is okay with him appearing to be free, appearing to not have any restraints or any justice served. But the truth of the matter is that he is locked up without any communications, but yet they allow him to have this very, very curated public face. So can you wrap your head around that? We're taking away a person who is a saboteur, a provocateur, someone who is a coup planner, starter, and we're locking them up, but seemingly they're free. So in that way, you may be robbed of your justice. You may think that you're robbed of your justice. And I can also tell you that I'm not sure that Garland can trump Fani Willis and her state charges. I'm not sure. I mean, they may have to go to her and work some kind of deal out with her because she's not going to just take this. And even if that happens, there's still a lot of civil liabilities and also the criminal liability of the rape case against him by E. Jean Carroll. Some of his words, some of the records of his statements were leaked or not leaked, were released. And he actually says, I think that E. Jean Carroll enjoys being raped. He literally said that. The man is sick. But I don't know. It's a fight between the DOJ, how America looks, how the powers that be think America will look with a sitting or an ex-president in jail. I don't know, guys. Right now, the way it looks is like that, is that there are 4 deadly arrows pointed at him. It may not look like justice, but justice will prevail, or it'll look like justice and it will prevail. Either way, it's going to prevail. It's just whether the public pacing, the public viewpoint of it looks like justice. Hopefully that makes sense. I'm sorry that I went on, but that's what they got a hold of me, and that's what happens on this channel. I think they're going to try to keep him alive. I do think that there will be threats. I've seen this. I've seen him crossing over of a heart attack. I've seen him crossing over of stroke. Because, and they're saying it again, the coup de grace, the final blow. They're saying it again. They said it the last video that I did. If he is offed, even if it's not suspicious, and let me tell you, between you and me, even if it is suspicious, they're going to cover it up because, again, we don't want to go to war with some country for offing our president. So if he does cross over, that's more destabilization. So that works for them too, because then he's a martyr. So do you understand, hopefully, the bigger picture? It's bigger than just justice. There's a lot of big players that are moving their chess pieces around. And we're just going to see how it plays out. Right now, at this point in January of 2023, this is how I see it. I think that the DOJ wants to keep him locked up, safe and sound, away from any communications, but trot him out and make him look like he's free, but he won't be. That's the DOJ's current plan that they want to have happen. Whether or not Fani Willis and or this criminal charge by E. Jean Carroll Well, let him. I'm not sure. I'm just not sure. We'll have to see. That would be the DOJ and those respective states duking it out, to be honest with you. Whew. All right. We're off to a crazy start already. Thank you for your question. I appreciate it. Let's see. Mars Place says, I live in Kansas, and the turnout to save abortion rights gave me hope. Do you see Kansas ever going blue? I do see Kansas going blue. Do you have a blue governor? You're going to have a blue governor. That doesn't mean your state's going blue, but it does mean the leadership, the umbrella of your state could be blue. And that may not mean a lot, but it may be symbolic, in other words, but it is something. I do see Kansas going more blue. Kansas seems to have more, let me put it a different way. Kansas is not in the grips of the same cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs people as Missouri is right now. Kansas seems to be kind of a higher vibration than Missouri is. And I say that just because Missouri State House recently voted that elected women need to wear things that cover their arms, which is just, you just cannot wrap your head around some of the things that are happening right now in the good old United States, the free of the United States of America, right? So yes, I do see that. Glenn Gavea, I'm so sorry if I'm murdering your last name. This is really a question, I think, that is repeated throughout these questions. Do we seniors need to worry about losing our Social Security due to the Republicans' threat against the debt ceiling? So, you know what? I think you could see an interruption of the service, they're saying, an interruption of your paychecks. That is highly probable, they're saying. And you could see this interruption happen not once, but twice in the period of 1 year to 1.5 years, okay? I do not see them striking down Social Security or Medicare or Medicaid. But I do see an interruption of paychecks. Now, the interesting thing that I just learned reading your question is that the Republicans, which are like, the energy is hapless. The energy is ineffectual, is clumsy, inarticulate. They don't think it's going to happen. So to them, this is a bargaining chip. This is a bargaining chip that they know always punches the Democrats' buttons. So they know that if they need something, if they want to pass legislation, they just dangle that little option over the Democrats, and the Democrats lose their minds and then capitulate. But what is happening is that the energy suggests that the Republicans may indeed end up voting for something and passing something, and not necessarily Social Security, but some other thing that goes through, like, for instance, let's take abortion, that goes through and brands them forever as the party against something that Americans want. And it happens by accident. It's almost like when you play at pushing the button and then you accidentally push it, and then you're like, oh no, I pushed the button. I didn't mean to push the button. And then they start pointing, you pushed the button. No, you pushed the button. No, you made me push the button, right? So then there's all of that goes on. But the bottom line is the Republicans will likely do something that really accidentally goes through that. So it could be a debt ceiling crisis. It could be that they literally caused the country to go into default. That would be what I'm thinking. And it's by accident. They don't mean to do it. You know, it's like, you know, calling wolf too many times, or, you know, and then all of a sudden nobody believes you and then they do it, right? It's sort of that energy. So I don't think it's permanent, but I do think that they could do something irreparable that could irreparably harm their reputation and sully their reputation and cause for them to lose the 24 election in a big way. But I think overall, I don't see Social Security disappearing. I don't see that. I've never seen that. Okay. So hopefully that helps you. But there could be an interruption in your benefits. You could have like not get checks for weeks. What's really good, it's not good, but it's helpful that then these Republicans that live on Social Security are going to wake up and see who the heck is causing their check to disappear, and they're going to know who did it. So if this happens, and it seems like it's very highly probable, this is going to spur the change that we need to happen. So it won't be for nothing, but it will be a big pain in the butt. Thank you for your question. BJ Helder says, why do Republicans think reducing benefits for Social Security and Medicare is what people want? Again, they don't think it's, they don't think it's what people want. Let's just talk about your statement. They don't care what people want. Republicans do not care what people want. They're going after abortion, and abortion is like 70%. 70% of people in the United States want access to a safe and healthy choice. A safe and healthy choice. They want control of their own women's bodies. They don't care what people want. That's not their platform. Their platform is, what do my overseers want? What does the dark money want me to do? Now, what I just said, I get it, is because they want to privatize Social Security. So it's just like the healthcare. It's just like the Postal Service. Let's ruin it. Let's make it fail. Let's make it miserable. And then the solution is business. Business can do this. Business can do this better than the government. The government should not be in the business of healthcare. The government should not be in the business of delivering mail. The private sector should be in the business of doing that because we know how to run things, right? This is why they're attacking Social Security, because they can ruin it. They can make it dicey. They can make people scared. They can basically convince Americans that the government cannot protect Social Security. This is their game. If the government cannot guarantee you Social Security, then you're going to go to the polls and you're going to vote for it to be privatized, because therefore it will be protected. That is it. I have uncovered their ruse for the first time. I didn't know that. So that's news to me. So I think that answered your question. Who is backing this venture? Money. Again, there's so much money. Look what they've done to NASA. NASA is now outsourcing rockets, outsourcing everything. They're trying to outsource our education. They are outsourcing our education. They're outsourcing healthcare. Medicare and Medicaid is now privatized. You have to pay money, whereas 10 years ago you didn't have to. Now your seniors are paying a lot of money every month. It's money, 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 greed, greed, greed. It's literally taking anything that the government does and putting a dollar sign on it and let the private sector get a stab at it. Let me try to get that contract. It's the onus behind everything, the impetus behind everything is greed and profit. Will they succeed in reducing benefits in the next 2 years? I don't think so. The Republican Party is right now on a crash course with imploding itself. And the spirit guides have talked about this a lot. Back when they told you that Liz Cheney is not your friend, Liz Cheney stepped out of the Republican Party because basically, if you look at it like this, Republican Party is a bus. The bus's brake lines have been cut. The steering is not working, and there's a cliff coming. So Liz Cheney didn't want to be on that bus. She knew it was going over the cliff. She knew that these crazy people were in charge of it, and she wanted to get off the bus, let it crash, so then she can go get a new bus and drive that bus. She wants to be the new leader, the new face of the Republican Party. The spirit guides have talked about this a long time. Now, let me disabuse you of any thoughts you had about Liz Cheney being a moderate. She voted over 90% with Trump. I believe it's 93% with Trump. She's not a moderate. She's a right wing. She's simply the difference between Liz Cheney and the Republican Party. In plain speaking, which I figured out last week through one of these videos, is that the Republican Party is bought off by money that comes from overseas. You can fill in the blank. Liz Cheney, for entertainment purposes only, is bought off allegedly by money that comes from the United States. So her dark money is local, is United States dark money. Keep it in the family. Come on now, we're Americans. Keep this money home. Don't go over there and hoe yourself out to some other country. That's the difference. She wants all the same things they want. She voted the same way they voted. The difference is that when that dark money from those other countries started taking over the Republican Party, that's where she drew the line. She drew the line on Jan 6, because that was literally funded by external dark money from other countries. Okay? That should clarify pretty much all of it for you. Woo! Oh, the energy is like, I mean, it like they lift me up. Like I'm like, woo. Okay. Thank you for your question. Regina Bow says she would like to know if Mnuchin is going to see any time behind bars. I loathe him. I do too. If you really want to just fast track a depression, Google Mnuchin and see how he wrecked so many Americans' lives through the housing crisis. This man is evil on a level that really, truly, in my opinion, he's done more harm to the average American than Trump. Well, is that true? Well, for sure, Roger Stone. Trump, I'm going to throw, frankly, a lot of COVID crossings overs at the feet of Trump. So I don't think Mnuchin can beat that. But Mnuchin is up there in that league. So is he going to see time behind bars? Let me get prepared for this answer. Okay, so I heard a yes and a no. And what that means is yes, but not long. It means disappointment, frankly, is what it means. Because this man is dangerous, okay? He pops up every 5 years or decade. I mean, he is just continuously involved in this sort of dark, horrible politics. So now I'm asking them if he's going to live long. This is what gets me in trouble with the spirit guides. Is he going to live long? No. I mean, that's not a very high vibration thing to ask, but I had to. I mean, I had to. The guy is dangerous. He's dangerous for Americans, and not just Americans. Some of these people, and I saw this for the Trump boys, are going to these countries, the stands, the Kurdistan, I don't know, their names change all the time. The stand countries. They're going to go to these, what were like Eastern Bloc countries that are some of them coming out of dictatorship, some of them still in some sort of authoritarian or dictatorship or some kind of not democratic control. They're going to go over there. I saw the boys going over there and basically rebranding themselves and starting new businesses over there, starting new lives over there. So I think Mnuchin might go with them. I mean, I'm sorry for those people because they're corrupt beyond belief, to be honest with you. Thank you for your question. I appreciate it, Regina. Victoria Olson says, Why is there no hue or cry among Republican constituency over the plan to do away with Social Security and Medicare? When will the Republican voters get wise to that plan, if at all, and what will they do about it? Again, the Republican voters do not think this is going to happen. They don't believe it. They simply do not believe it's going to happen. Okay? And again, when their checks get delayed, they're gonna like wake up, and they're gonna see that this is indeed a real possibility. And again, it's like it's how I felt about when GW got elected, right? I was like, oh, they're gonna learn their lesson. You know what I mean? I thought those Republicans are sure gonna learn their lesson now. And then I realized I have to learn the lesson with them. You know, I get penalized along with them because they're too, I just want to use the word stupid, and I'm sorry, but they're just too stupid to realize that they're voting against their own interest. And so again, it's the same thing with Social Security. By the time they realize, oopsie daisy, I voted the wrong way, we're all going to be affected by it. We're all connected. Remember how the guides say we're in a rowboat together. And if one side is rowing a rowboat, you're going in circles. When two sides are rowing, you're going basically forward. You may be going a little left or a little right, but you're going basically forward. So as the one side breaks down, the whole darn society's going in circles, not getting anything done. Okay. So unfortunately, we all pay a price, but they will recognize, they will wake up, and there will be a new Republican Party. The question is whether Liz Cheney makes it a Republican Party that is far right, because what I had seen was, and this is what's really dangerous if you ask me, because a lot of Democrats think she's very reasonable, and a lot of moderates are like, oh, I could really get behind an Adam or a Liz, you know, these Republicans. And the truth of the matter is, I saw a potential where Liz, and she's already done this to a degree, right? Her sister is gay, and she was against everything gay. And then she finally relented and said, oh, I guess I could, you know, I guess I've changed my views. So I see her softening her right-wing stance and saying, you know, now that I think about it, I've kind of changed my views on immigration. I've changed my views on choice. She has not changed her views. A leopard does not change its spots, but she will potentially put a new face, a new public face on herself, get control of the Republican Party, move the party more to the center, because it has to. The Republican Party as it stands right now is in the bus with the brake lines cuts going off the cliff. A new version of the Republican Party is going to emerge. It truly is. There's only 20 Republican members that are driving that bus. The rest of those Republican members are held hostage by their own pathetic inability to stand up and do what's right. What they know is what's right. They've given away their power to have power, and now they're going to reap the benefits of that bad decision. But they're going to try, some of those Republicans, 100, 150, maybe even 180 or 90 of them are going to reinvent themselves overnight. And Liz Cheney's going to step to the mantle and say, see, I told you so. If you guys would have just stuck with me, you wouldn't be in this position. Look what I've done. Look how I've navigated this. You can trust me. She's going to be likely the leader, because that is what she wants. This is what she's done. She has orchestrated this. She's been a big part of Jan 6. So this is what's happening with them and her. Hopefully that makes sense and explains to you why they're doing what they're doing and how they're going to come out of it. But you really can't trust her. We have to be very careful as Democrats and moderates. Discernment. Think about cinema. Think about Mnuchin. Trojan horses. We need to be very discerning. Think about George Santos or Anthony DeVolder, or whatever the heck his name is. You know, it was clearly known to everybody this man was, and appears to be, allegedly, a pathological liar, but he's still a member of Congress. We've got to be better. We've got to stop not seeing what we don't want to see. Okay. Annie says, hi, Susan, will they indict Trump? Will he tell who his handlers are and flip on them and spill it all? If so, does this put his life in danger? Well, Annie, you read my mind because I already answered your question. Yeah, all of those things are true. I do think that he could potentially flip. Again, it looks like the DOJ. Now, I'm not saying Garland is doing this, because I'm sorry, Garland is not doing this. This is just what seems to be happening. The pressure is mounting on Trump. He's literally surrounded by very serious charges that have a lot of evidence that are basically foolproof. You know, when Fani Willis, when you have a grand jury to decide if there's evidence to charge someone, and then you take that evidence, that information that you got from those jurors, you're not going to get out of that. You already had an entire group of jurors say, yep, he's guilty. Then you take and you actually charge the person and have a new jury come in, but you've got the assurance already of already having sort of a mock trial, if you will, to guarantee that this is going to happen. Look, Trump is surrounded on all sides and the pressure is being turned up on him. That's why he may flip. And it could make Garland look like I'm just telling you, I'm kind of changing my mind. I'm not changing my mind. I've never been a big fan of Garland's. I think he's under incredible pressure. And I think some of that pressure is his own personality of wanting to make everybody happy and not to ever make a mistake. You can't hardly do anything when you have those kind of constraints on you. But I think that Garland, this could make it possible for Trump to say, okay, look, let's make a deal. I got somebody who wants to kill me. I got somebody who wants to put me in jail. I got about 3 women that want to put me in jail. Let's make a deal. You're the feds. You can trump those people. Let's make a deal. So yes, I do think that he flips. And I do think that they're going to have to try to keep him safe. I'm not sure they will. I personally think, no, not personally. Yes, I personally think, based on what the spirit guides have shown me, that they have a way for people to have heart attacks. Okay, whether that's something in their food or some kind of thing that they get exposed to. But the guides have told me that people who have had heart attacks didn't have them naturally. Okay, so I can't guarantee you he ain't going to cross over. But I can guarantee you that the DOJ doesn't want him to. I can guarantee you that. Okay, Starhawk says, will Jim Jordan suffer any consequences from his Jan 6 or other reprehensible actions? And will he be removed from Congress this year? All right, buckle up, kids. This is not going to be pretty, because it just pisses me off. I get no. That really makes me mad. Okay, let's talk about that. All right, this year. Okay, let's break it down. Will Jim Jordan suffer consequences from any of his actions that could be, that are illegal allegedly. Not in the way that we want or not in the way that we're thinking. So I would guess, Starhawk, that you and I are on the same page, that we would like to see him in prison. I don't see him in prison right now. I don't see him in prison for the things he's done. The best that we can do, and it's not bad, in my opinion. I mean, there's a lot of settling going on here, right? But the best we can do is get him removed from Congress. Will he be removed from Congress this year, 2023? There's a yes. That's a yes. Okay. Once he's removed from Congress, then there's energy to suggest that criminal investigations really ramp up. So there's a hesitancy to investigate him as a sitting member of Congress. Or I take that back. He has been and is being investigated, but there's a hesitancy to charge him. I'm just telling you what I get. 1-800-Spirit Guides, press 1 for complaints, because it's not me. I would literally drive the police officer to Congress and, help him. It's not me. So it does look like he's more than likely, the probability is high that he's going to be removed from Congress. After that, he's going to be investigated and he could be imprisoned or jailed for crimes for entertainment purposes only. Whew. Thank you for your question, Starhawk. Ruthie H says, 45 has been acting crazier than his normal crazy lately. Do the guides think he'll try to go for an insanity plea? I do think so. She goes on to say, after hearing parts of his deposition, it sure seems like he's losing it, threatening to sue E. Jean Carroll and her attorney. Not only did he threaten to sue them, but he literally said, I think she enjoys being raped. And he said, when asked, have you ever touched anybody's breast or any other places that would be construed or be considered as sexual harassment? He said, no, but some of your people will say yes. So his answer was always no, but you will find someone to say yes. Hello. I mean, it's crazy, right? So I do think that is one of the things he could consider. But his ego won't let him. To be honest with you, his ego won't let him. It's probably his best option. Truly his best option, but his ego will not let him do it. It just won't. So the only thing his choices would have to be prison, and I mean prison, death, or claiming insanity. That's how it would have to be. You have no other options. These are your options. Now, of course, the DOJ, I'm not talking about execution. I'm not talking about killing him. I'm talking about he has a real threat. He's come to the DOJ saying, you have to protect me because I can't trust my Secret Service people. I have a real verifiable threat against my life, and I need you to protect me. That's what I mean by death. He needs to literally know in every bone, in every part of his body, that he's going to jail or that someone is trying to take him out before he will take an offer like that. And we are getting there. I think we really are getting there. But that's it. That's the only options there. And I don't. They're telling me right now he is too dangerous alive for his puppet masters. Okay. If he's not on their payroll doing their bidding, and he is like, he wouldn't survive jail. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? That he's not, that's not, they can't allow him to get so scared for his own well-being, i.e. going to jail, because then he'll flip, and they can't allow him to flip. So Jeffrey Epstein comes to mind. Okay. Ooh, that gave me a chill, and not in a good way. And it's, yeah, I'm not just going to leave that there. All right. Eva Martin says, what is the future of the Bobbsey twins, MTG and Lauren Boebert? I got to clear that. I got to clear that energy. There's dark energies hunting him. HUNTING, hunting him. I wouldn't want to be Trump to save my life. Oof. Okay, let me shake that off. Okay, MTG. What is the future of Marjorie Taylor Greene? Bad. It's bad. She's a fool's errand. She ran on a fool's errand. She's being used. I mean, she is being used, but she completely believes she's not innocent. She's not an innocent that's been used. She 100% believes everything that comes out of her mouth. She's got for entertainment purposes only, and allegedly she's got some kind of mental, some kind of ego aggrandizement. It's not manic, but it has something to do with, it might come to me in a minute, but it has something to do with, basically, if you're going to ask me as a layperson, it's believing your own BS. But I think there's an actual mental diagnosis. Anyway, and she is very, very, very connected to R, the country that starts with an R. Very connected to the country that starts to R, like almost that guy. Somebody asked a question about him. The guy that went to the country R, that I can't think of his name right now, but he is actually getting citizenship in the country R. That's how she's like him. She's basically like, if you could put them in a group together. They're not doing the same job, but they're in the same group. The guy that was a security analysis or he leaked information to R, and now he's left, and I can't think of his name. Anyway, she's much like that. Okay. So, so what's going to happen to her? Yeah, these people. Wow. This dark stuff. Dark. I don't know if I can say everything, but I would say that I wouldn't want to be her. And I would say that she has a debt that she cannot repay. And she is also not, I think she's crossed a line. I think she's crossed a line that she may not be able to go back to a regular citizenship. She may not be able to go back to just being an ex-member of Congress. You know, Mnuchin, all these people, Roger Stone, right? All these people have gone in and out of politics over decades. They've been able to traverse the political world over decades. She's crossed some kind of line. I mean, a big line. She is owned in a way that they are not owned. There's a distinction here. And I don't think she's going to be allowed to just be voted out and go on with her life. Okay. And you can make your own, you can defer from that, what you think I'm talking about. Boebert is a completely different energy, whereas MTG is very cerebral. She's very smart. She thinks she's smarter than everybody else, right? Boebert is a sort of this kind of like a hamster on a wheel, not making any sense, just like something's not connecting. There's a synapse firing over here and there's nobody answering. It's just, whoo. So Boebert is, I hate to say, I think this is really, I don't usually say this kind of stuff, but Boebert is a useful idiot. That's what they said. That's what they said. I don't usually talk like that, but that's what they're saying. She's a useful idiot. Boebert is not in the same category as MTG. I guess MTG has sold her soul to the devil, if you will. Boebert is just she's going to get washed out of the Congress, and then she's just going to kind of bounce around. She doesn't have the same agreement as MTG does. But so I do see them both out of Congress. Wow. This year, I think, if not this year, for sure 24. They're not going to be around in the political leadership or any sort of influence politically. They're not going to be a member of Congress longer than between now and 24. After 24, they're gone. Maybe this year. Okay, Ron Brock says Santos is the true catching up with the guy, and will he be out soon? Yes, I do think so. George DeValder and Santos and all his different names. Anthony DeValder, George, I don't know. He's got so many names. Yeah, he's out. The guides have said this before. He's going to be out. And what's happening is that he's going to be the sacrificial lamb. The Republicans are catching flack right now because, again, they look terrible. And they're going to look even more terrible in the next month. So even the media, which normally doesn't do this, is going to start talking about how terrible the Republicans look in the Congress and how completely just pathetic and unorganized they look. And so what's going to happen is the Republicans are going to get this bright idea that if we get behind voting Santos out, the media will jump on that and we'll look like we did something. We'll look like we policed our own members. We'll look like we have authority. We'll look like adults once again. So they're going to focus their sights on him. And it's almost like all of the bad things that have been happening with them get put on Santos and he's out. And they think that that's going to kind of clean their reputations and give them a new chance to become, more adult-like and more authoritarian-like they should be. Like they're literally leaders, right? And that feels like that might be happening around in the summer, maybe July. Also, your other question, Ron, is Putin, the infighting is starting to get to him, and will he be out soon? When will the war in Ukraine be over? I'm going to tell you guys, I don't really want to go into depth about this because honestly, Ukraine has been on my mind for a lot. That I have 3 videos on Ukraine and they were all done last year at the beginning of the war. And so far, everything the spirit guides have said has come true down to everything that they've said. Now, where we are now is that something new has changed. The energy has changed. And where the guides left us off was the battle for the eastern part of the country. That's what they said. It's going to come down to the eastern part of the country. They did say the end result is that Ukraine gets Crimea back and Ukraine gets all of the annexed areas that Russia annexed in whatever it was years ago. They're going to get them back. The guides also said that Ukraine would be like a phoenix rising from the ashes. I do see Ukraine, the cities being rebuilt with modern glass buildings. I see architects donating their architectural experience and expertise. I see countries investing. I see Ukraine truly becoming a big, bright spot in Europe, a very lively, cosmopolitan, very almost, they always tell me that it feels like Norway, or it feels like Denmark. It feels like that kind of really high vibration place. Okay. That's where Ukraine is going. That's the best news that I can give you. It is written. This is going to happen. I don't doubt that. I know it's going to happen. This is the fate of Ukraine. It has already been written. Okay. Now, here we are today in the middle of January 2023. And the problem is that the energy has changed around Putin. He now understands that he's not going to win this war. And that makes him very dangerous. He has nothing to lose. The spirit guides call him dead man walking. Now, when they say that, of course, that's used when a person is on death row. You know, that's called dead man walking. They have nothing to live for. That's actually a very potentially dangerous person. They have nothing to live for. Putin is a very dangerous person right now, even more so than he was 6 months ago. I do think we may have a month of Russia really pounding Ukraine. And then I feel like, again, in March, these things, the tanks, the planes that the West has promised, arrive. And then everything changes. So I think I'll just do a separate video because I could talk for an hour about that. Let me just end it with that and let me move on. Lady Day says, and thank you for your question. It really is a good question, Ron. It's a complicated situation. Lady Day 58 says, longtime Trump Organization CFO Alan Weiselberg is now serving time in notorious New York City jail, Rikers Island. Can you believe? I mean, look, at least we can find some comfort in knowing that some justice has been had. This guy didn't go to Club Fed. He didn't go to a federal prison where they, basically play golf. I mean, he went to Rikers, okay? Even if it may only amount to 100 days, does Weiselberg feel any regret for his actions, shielding 45 and family by taking on as much guilt as possible? He does not feel any regret. He doesn't feel any regret because it's like, I know it's not the same thing, but it's a lot like parents that give everything for their kids, that work 3 jobs so their kid can go to college, or they work 3 jobs so that their kid can get the extra tutoring. Or, you see this a lot in people that are new to America. They just work like dogs so that their kid can go to college, right? It's the same energy. Weiselberg did all of this for his kids. He did all of it. He knew from day one that he was sacrificing himself for his kids. He knew it. He's willing. This is not a bad deal for him at all. 100 days. Yeah, he'll take that. He'll take that. His kids are going to have money. This money that he got from Trump, working for Trump, changed his kids and his grandkids' lives forever. And he thinks for generations to come. It's a small price to pay is what he thinks. Absolutely. And conversely, had he flipped on Trump, they would have gone after his kids. And I mean the puppet masters would have gone after his kids, and somebody would be buried next to Ivana at the golf course on the first hole or whatever it is. Okay. You're not dealing with nice people. Okay. So yeah, absolutely. He has no regrets. He got a better deal than he thought he was going to get. And maybe I'll just do one more question. Okay, I'm going to go with the question by Gail Ziegler. And she wants to know, will the FBI, Homeland Security, the Pentagon, other groups who did not show up to help the Capitol Police, and frankly, there's Capitol Police that were also in on this deal, on Jan 6, be held responsible for their ineffectual or even their outright blocking of their response? Yes, Gail, this is a really big deal because right now you see Biden with these documents, right? Listen, even if they weren't planted, which I'm telling you, something happened. Even if they weren't planted, someone in Biden's camp had knowledge that there were documents there and then leaked that. Okay, there's nefarious energy around that. So you can even say Secret Service, right? Secret Service. They're showing me that picture of those two guys that presented themselves as some kind of federal agency, some kind of law office agency, even though this agency doesn't even really exist. These two guys were from a different country, and they befriended a bunch of Secret Service guys, women, people, and gave them stuff, gave them guns, let them use their loft apartment, bought them off. Secret Service is not supposed to take even a coffee. They're not even supposed to allow someone to buy them a coffee at Starbucks. Yet these Secret Service people were taking all of these gifts. This was, a year ago or more. We really have a problem in our FBI, in our Homeland Security, in our everything. It's invasive. Okay. It's in the military. It's in every branch. It's in some of our police departments. So yes, they're held responsible. Yes, there's going to be that's interesting. This might be next year. I mean, it might not be this year, because this year is literally cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Okay. We're not going to be able to Biden isn't really going to be able to muster the kind of real mandate. We don't have Congress, right? So, but I do see a federal investigator entity. I don't know if they create a new federal investigator or a new federal entity. And this federal investigator entity has carte blanche to go through everything, to go through and literally look at the Secret Service, look at the DOJ, the ATF, the FBI, everybody, every single entity, and even investigate state, like the troopers, like the state police, because these are federal crimes that have been committed. That's why. So yeah, you're going to see a sweep, and it's going to be very serious. I don't think it's going to be this year. I really don't. They may announce it at the end of this year, but it really will take effect, and the energy takes place next year. Listen, I've got some really good questions that I'm going to answer in part 2 about COVID, about Garland, about just all kinds of really good questions I cannot get to in part 1. Thank you so much for watching this long. I have no idea how long this video was. I always start these videos and I say, I'm going to just be straight to the point. I'm not going to go off on a tangent, but the guides, this is what the guides want to say. I can't really control them because they are 60-70% of my body right now, my thinking brain. So hopefully you found it interesting and helpful and educational. Please let me know in the comments what you think. I really genuinely appreciate all of your support. I truly do. If you found this video helpful, please consider subscribing, liking, commenting. You might even think that you might want to share it with somebody as well. Take really good care of yourself. I think things are heating up, and I think we're really going to see some big changes, and I mean good changes, as we go into February, March, April, and May. You're going to see some investigations launched. You're going to see some justice really start to peek its head out of the covers. It's going to start showing itself, okay? Thank you so much. Take really good care. We'll talk to you soon for part 2 in a few days. For entertainment purposes only.